very important. So especially in this realm of stress management, uh, I'll give some tools and techniques which you can practice in your day-to-day life, which will make you more productive. You will be thinking that I'm not stressed up, I'm a productive person. Then also the techniques which I'm going to share will be helpful to you in the sense that it will make you more productive in your professional and personal life. Yeah. So the ultimate goal is we all want a balanced life. We want some time to be spent on relationship, relaxation, and fun along with the work we have. We don't want to be pure workaholic who spend all the time doing our duty. No, that's not what we want. Ultimately, all of us want a balanced life. So how can we possibly achieve that? So talking about the current time, you must have heard about, or you must have read Charles Dickens' famous novel, A Tale of Two Cities. The two cities are London and Paris. So, in the beginning sentence itself is very interesting. He starts this way: "It is the best of times, and it's the worst of times. It's the age of wisdom. It's the age of foolishness." So we can say the same thing for the present time. It's the age of wisdom, it's the age of foolishness. It's the best of time and it's the worst of time. It is for us to customize our life in such a way that we are happy. The people who are close to us are also happy and fulfilled. And many of us face pressures in different ways. So we can say that at least few of us are living on the edge. We feel that, okay, how can I push this day? Too much work. I don't know what to do. And all these gadgets, so-called helpful gadgets, have made us connected all the time, which also add to some element of stress in our day-to-day life. And it's like the pace of life has gone up. You compare, say, life 20 years back and the present life, the pace of life has gone up in many folds, and that also creates some element of stress in us. Sometimes we find ourselves overcommitting to the work. We commit more than what we can possibly do. And then there is insecurities like, will I lose this job? Okay, is this good enough? Will my kid get admission in a good school, college? Okay, a lot of insecurities can creep up in our life. And then there can be lack of good relationships. So some of the questions we need to ask ourselves are, I may be working too much. Is it because I really love my work, or is it because I am really afraid of not working? Our late president, Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam, he used to spend, say, sometimes up to, say, 12 o'clock midnight in his office. He did it because he was so engrossed in it, he was so passionate about his work. So he never saw his clock moving. So that was the situation he was in. Is it true for us? Do we find our work exhausting, or do we find it exhilarating? Do I have some sort of joy in my life? This is very much important. This is one question we need to ask ourselves. Are we always in a struggle for survival, in a struggle to exist, or am I really happy in what I'm doing? So this is one question we have to really think about. Why is it important to manage stress? I'll tell you firsthand. All stress is not bad. There is positive stress also. See, a person without any stress is a dead person only. It is said by Hans Phil. He is rightfully known as the father of stress management. He was an Austrian who said that a man without stress is a dead man. So all of us do have stress. Stress is very much required for a not only positive, whatever life we need to have, stress is required to some extent. But what really puts us in high risk is high levels of stress, sometimes which we ourselves are subjecting. Uh, I mean, it's like something intrinsic. We create our own stress, and it narrows ability to think clearly, function effectively, and enjoy our life. So I looked at many different definitions of stress in many different books, many websites. There is no common accepted definition of stress at all. Stress varies from person to person. A same situation can be stressful to one person, and it can be very enjoyable thing for another person. For example, think about like a Formula One driver. For him, driving at say 200 or 250 kilometers per hour, it is enjoyable. But for an ordinary person, the driving even at say 150 can be stressful, possibly. So stress, the extent of stress, the response to external situation, it can vary from person to person. So stress is actually physical, chemical, or emotional factor that causes bodily or mental unrest. Here I am referring to the negative stress. Elimination of stress may not be really possible, but management of stress is a attainable thing. So there are relaxation techniques, time management, counseling, exercise, and maintaining a healthy lifestyle, which we are going to discuss in very detail. So I already mentioned that too little stress is also not good. So look at that graph. So when we are underloaded, it can create lethargy in us. We feel like a laid back feeling. So we can observe this thing in many of our students. They may not have real, say, clear cut goals in their life. So we can see that they're not very active. Whatever we try to do, they're like staying inactive. And there is something like optimum level of stress, as indicated by the yellow region. But once we go beyond that, it can lead to exhaustion.
So there is no common accepted definition of stress. It can vary from person to person. Even different people can react to different stressful situations in different way. Okay. So first thing that we have to get into our mind is, see, most of the stress that we experience can be self-generated. So here lies our power. So whether an event makes us threatened or stimulated depends on a large extent on how we perceive ourselves. So is this guy familiar to you? He's called Viktor Frankl. So Viktor Frankl was a doctor practicing in Austria. Actually, he was a Jew. And during the World War, he was captured and he has to spend a lot of time in the Nazi concentration camp. So he's in fact, a Nazi Holocaust survivor. So what happened was the situation in that camp was so inhuman that it was very difficult to survive in that situation. So many of his like camp partners, they committed suicide. So at that point of time, there was a phrase itself called as running to the wire. Running to the wire means many people choose to go to the fence and catch hold of that electrical fence and commit suicide, because it was day-to-day survival was very difficult. So it was an extremely stressful situation. But Viktor Frankl was able to come out of it alive. He even wrote 39 books, which went on, many of them went on to become bestsellers. And one of the famous books is called Man's Search for Meaning. So what I'm trying to say is, somebody who was subjected to so much stressful situation, due to his internal capacity, can survive it and later excel in his field, then for us anything is possible. So these are some of his quotes, some of my favorite quotes. So everything can be taken from a man, but one thing, the last of human freedom, to choose one's attitude in any given set of circumstances. That freedom we have, that is a freedom that we should use. So when we are not longer able to change a situation, sometimes you have to change ourselves. See, all the things around us, we cannot potentially change. So in that situation, we are forced to change ourselves. Third is the most important. Between stimulus and response, there is a space. In that space is our power to choose our response. In our response lies our growth and our freedom. See, for example, suppose you are stuck in traffic. The signal, it shows say 60 seconds or say 90 seconds. So when we observe people, we can see that there are some people who even choose to make it into a stressful situation. They keep on honking their horns. But you can see some people are just listening to the music enjoying themselves. So the stimulus sometimes doesn't matter. The response that we are going to choose, that really matters. So here lies our freedom. Here lies our capacity. So first of all, we need to have a mental shift from big to reality. Okay, many things are happening around, bad things are happening around, and we are sort of okay with it. We say that it is fate. We say that he's giving me too much pressure. My victim mentality. We have to put it in our mind that there are many situations which we can potentially change. So we'll have a brief discussion. I propose to make it interactive. Uh, it's a different topic. It's not machine learning or ANNs and all that. So this is my question. What can be the causes of stress? There can be two different type of causes, internal and external. What can be the internal cause of stress and what can be the external causes? So I want can have a small discussion. Meanwhile, let me check whether I'm still audible or is it creating stress to you? Okay, so can I get some answers? You can choose to speak out or you can chat. So what can be the possible sources of stress? I just mentioned that it can be internal, intrinsic, or there can be external factors. So let me listen to you. See, what all I am going to say, it's mostly common sense stuff. Sometimes we forget to do what we are supposed to do. Okay, yeah. External from our society. I agree with Professor Srichini. It can be the pressure given by the society. Okay, who else? Somebody want to just pinch in? You can unmute your mic and you can decide to talk for a few seconds. Yeah, anyone? The question is pretty simple. I'll give the answers. Right, peer competition. I agree with that. For us, it is a bit lesser, I think, for us who are in the teaching profession. But peer competition can be a cause of stress for many professionals in industry. I worked in industry for 2 years, so I know. Illness, okay, yeah. Illness can be a potential source. So Ronia Abraham says illness. I agree with you. Yeah. So far, what all causes you have mentioned, they are external sources of stress. Family pressure. Okay. It's also external. I agree with all this. Family pressure, societal pressure, peer competition, job or salary not on time. I completely agree with you. So suppose you're not getting salary on time, and if you are uncertain that the company exists, say next month, when our job is threatened, we feel pressure. Sometimes our colleagues create a lot of problematic situations, right? So it can create a lot of pressure. Bad luck. Yeah, possible. Anything else? Work environmental, workload. Yes, yes. So all what you have pointed out so far, they falls into the category of external stress. Yeah. Extra hours of work. Sometimes you have to work too much. All this accreditation, documentation, KTU audits, a lot of things. Right. It can be both external and internal. That is, Satyapriya madam says, external meaning it may not be in our control. Internal means potentially it's in our control. I agree with you, madam. I agree with you. So to an extent, we agree that so lack of job satisfaction, right? Lack of jobs, another source of stress. Yeah, good. Yeah, so you're all thinking in the right direction. I agree with most of you. We can potentially discuss more things, but for the time being, I'll go back to my presentation. Yeah. So many of you gave very valid points. So there are different sources of stress, which can be internal and external. So most of you said many external stresses. So these are some of the internal stresses. Regarding the external stresses, I completely agree with all of you. All this peer pressure, problem caused by colleague, job insecurity, societal pressures, family pressures, all these can cause stress. And some of the internal stresses are lifestyle choices. For example, caffeine. Too much of caffeine can create stress. If you are into the habit of drinking too much coffee, we think that it's giving a feeling of relaxation, but it's too much stimulating us, and later it can lead to stress issues. And lack of sleep. When I'm doing my research in IIT, I found that many of the students there, they don't sleep at night. All the night they are playing games like PUBG and all that. And the next day they look so tired and stressful. So lack of sleep can be stressful. Overloaded schedule. So the overloaded schedule can come from outside, but sometimes we ourselves decide to overload us. And sometimes we get into some more mind traps. So these are only a couple of examples. Unrealistic expectation. We put so much expectations on us. We need to do this, we need to do that. And rigid thinking. Okay, people are like behaving to me like this. So it creates problems to me. Negative self-talk. Pessimistic thinking, self-criticism. See, we are supposed to be our best friend. But many a time what we do is, okay, we look into the mirror and say that, Are how you are looking so, I mean, I don't like the way you look. You are looking so shabby. You are not looking confident. So we criticize ourselves too much. It also creates stress. And some personality traits are there. Some of our colleagues may be workaholics. All the time they are working. They don't have time to spend with family. Sometimes you are perfectionist. We want to complete the work to the best possible extent. So ultimately, we have to find some balance in all this. And these are some of the external stresses which already you gave it. You are thinking in the right direction. Injury, illness, loss of job, change in financial status, and change in responsibilities. So all these causes which you already narrated can definitely create stress. I agree with you. And productivity. What is productivity? It is getting the results you want with less time and effort. So our ultimate goal is to be more productive in workplace and more productive in our life, right? And stress-related issues are a reality. So this is, I looked at American Psychological Association's website and got these facts. So in America, more than say 3/4 of adults report physical or emotional symptoms of stress. Right? Half of the adults say that they are awake in night due to stress prior month and all. So stress issues are a reality. We cannot run away from it. We have to accept that it is reality. It may not be there for us, but it may be there in our children. It can be there in our colleagues. So if we know very well about this, potentially we can help others who are distressed. Yeah. So actually, Rita Emmett is a very popular author in this area of stress management. So she has written one of the bestsellers in stress management. So she has given one very important stress. Recognizing that we create most of our stress is the first step in managing it. All the stress we may not be creating, but we are also co-creators of our stress. Sometimes you look at that statement, the dread of doing a task often uses up more time and energy than doing the task itself. It's said that many of the things that we fear never happen in life. Statistically, it is said that 99% of the things that we fear may not happen. Sometimes it's raining and lightning is there. We feel that, okay, we are going to get affected by lightning, we are going to be burned away. Usually it never happens, right? And we are afraid that we may be thrown out of the job, which also never happens. So sometimes many of our fears are not really rational. And this is another thing. We try to wear too many hats at the same time. We have to be good friends. We have to be good family men. We have to be good professionals. We have to be good subordinate. We have to be good superiors. So trying to all in one place can create stress. So I told you this already. The only person without stress is a dead person. And Hans Sill is known as the father of stress research. So actually, he started experimenting with rats. So rats were subjected to pressure, like stress, like uh, it was put in front of a cat. Okay, naturally the cat was chained, but it creates stress. So it arched its arch back. Then what do you call its pupils, eye pupils dilated. So these were the symptoms. Later he made it all into a theory, and he's known as the father of stress research. So let's have a look at the causes of different stresses before we think about its solution. So stress is the body's response to any physical or emotional changes in life. When there are drastic changes, we get stressed up. So the response include the release of hormones. There are two different type of hormones. One is called adrenaline, and the other is called cortisol. Adrenaline has to do with short-term stress management. We see a dog and suddenly we want to run away. Then the body pumps with us adrenaline so that we can run very efficiently. So these hormones, what it typically does is it increases the heart rate, breathing and blood sugar levels are increased, so that we are equipped with dealing that situation. So actually, in fact, stress is good. It's a survival mechanism which is given to us by our creator. So it all started with this fight or flight thing. So when we were cavemen, we lived in the caves and we were hunting. So uh, potentially when we go out, we are likely to get in front of a, say, carnivore, some tiger or lion. Then we have to decide whether I'm going to fight or whether I'm going to run away. So then whatever the response is, the body needs a lot of energy. So internally this is what happens. Hypothalamus is like our command center, the command center of the brain. So whenever a stressful situation comes, there's a portion of the brain called amygdala. It sends message to hypothalamus. So the hypothalamus communicates with the body through what is called as autonomic nervous system, which controls all our involuntary body process like breathing, blood pressure, heartbeat, etc. So it has two components. One is sympathetic nervous system. It's like a gas pedal in a car. It provides with a burst of energy. Sometimes you can feel that when we are very much stressed up, we get a lot of energy. Okay, we can do things which we could otherwise we are not capable of doing. And then there is like parasympathetic nervous system. It's like a break. See, the stressful situation has passed. The stimulus is not there now. Now the body has to come back to the normal situation. So here is the trouble with many of us. When we continuously create stressful situation, the second process is not happening. All the time we are in the first case, we are giving burst of energy. So ultimately that leads to exhaustion. So we have to cool down once in a while. Okay. And sometimes we find that even suppose we are in say walking in the road, we are walking, and suddenly a car comes pretty close to us. Even before we register what is happening, we are able to jump out of the trajectory of that car. Do you know why? See, that cascading mechanism created by this amygdala and hypothalamus, it is so effective that even before we register, visually register what is happening, our body is reacting to it and taking us out of that danger. So the survival mechanism that we have as, say, human beings or animals, it is so good. We should be thankful for it. Okay. So what can we do? So far this is what we found. We found that stress is a reality. There can be internal stress issues. There can be external stimuli which create stress. So potentially, what is solution? Are we in control? Can we do something? So the rest of my talk, we are going to discuss some mechanisms, some responses that we can put, some adaptive mechanism that we can create so that we are very much equipped to deal with this issue. Okay. So first, I would like to hear from you. Yes. Okay. You can chat or you can speak. I prefer you speaking. Okay. It's nice to listen to you, your opinion. You can also give your input. All of you are very learned people. We are all in the same boat. We are all teachers. We know a lot of stuff related to this. So my question is pretty simple. We know that these can be potential sources of stress for us, which are either internal or external. And biologically, we know that this is how stress is created. Now, the rest of the talk, maybe next hour or so, I'm going to discuss on how we can adapt. Okay. Professor Revati says we have to be